I got it or not. Despite I'm holding it as my last stance, my last chance, you know, and that's what I'm taking it accordingly as, you know, and
if you're not victorious on Saturday night, does that keep you out of the club?
I don't know. You know, I've had a successful career, and this is a do or die moment for me.
The devastating right hand from Zhang to Wilder wasn't just the last punch of the fight, but also the last of the prolific career of the Bronze Bomber, as he's now announced his retirement after the fight. He's come to the reality that the passion is dead, and it's such an emotional exit for him. Deontay Wilder's career as a top heavyweight and perhaps as a professional boxer is certainly over after he was knocked out in the 5th round by Zhang in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Saturday night. A short lead right hand spun Wilder around, leaving the American open for a follow-up right hand that landed flush and dropped the Bronze Bomber to his back. Wilder rose at 8, but he was clearly beaten, and referee Kieran McCann waved a halt to the contest. Sadly, he was also waving a halt to Deontay Wilder's career as well. Deontay Wilder, who retires with a record of 43 wins, including 42 knockouts, 4 losses and a draw, was, to put it mildly, never the greatest technician in the ring, but he raced to a record of 40-0 with 39 knockouts and the World Boxing Council heavyweight title, courtesy of his almost superhuman one-punch power and his willingness to throw caution to the wind in his pursuit of knockouts.
Absolutely flattened by Zhilei Zhang, and I think that's going to have to be the end of his career. I don't think he's announced that he's retiring, but I think he'll reflect on it, he'll look back and say, listen, he's no longer a menace in the heavyweight division. He can't really compete. He lost to Joe.
But a 3-fight series with Tyson Fury saw him go 0-2-1 and visit the canvas 5 times in total. And although he scored a first-round knockout of Robert Helenius in October 2022, he looked listless in defeat against Joseph Parker last December. And with this additional defeat, he has confirmed his sad end to a boxing career that made many dream again.
You know, I was at peace, you know. I was at too much peace, you know, and war and peace don't mix, you know. The only time war and peace mix is when the war is over and victory has been claimed, you know.
During the fight, he seemed even more hesitant from the outset against Zhang, backing away from his opponent and pawing with his jab without ever showing enthusiasm for deploying his trademark right hand. Zhang, who now boasts of 27 wins, including 22 knockouts, 2 draws, and a loss, was not a great deal more active, but he was at least somewhat more assertive, walking Wilder down and trapping him in the corner and against the ropes on several occasions. Ironically, Wilder finally opened up at the start of the 5th and caught Zhang with a pair of straight right hands. But in doing so, he left himself open to Zhang's punches, and it was as he threw a right hand of his own that he walked into the punch that proved to be the beginning of the end. For Zhang, the victory was an important return to the win column after suffering a decision loss to Parker in March. The fight was the main event of the T5 vs. 5 card between Frank Warren's Queensberry Promotions and Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Promotions, and Warren emerged as an overwhelming winner, with his fighters' hands being raised at the end of each contest. However, what's surely more painful for Eddie Hearn and his team is the unanticipated retirement of Deontay Wilder, who had the very last punch, the last knockout, and the last fight of his career in a sad and devastating knockout defeat to Chinese Zhang. Interestingly, both men fell to defeat against Joseph Parker in their last outing and are in desperate need of a win in Saudi Arabia to keep their world title hopes alive. But it was not just a place at the heavyweight top table that is on the line for Wilder. His career is as well. Wilder explained pre-fight that his boxing future hinged largely on the result of his battle with Zhang. "I've had a successful career and this is a do-or-die moment for me," Wilder told Seconds Out. "I don't think the heavyweight division is exciting without Deontay Wilder in it, but come Saturday night we will see. Will I prevail? Will I succeed? Who knows? But Saturday night is the true answer and we are going to see. This could be the end of the career. This could be the final farewell of Deontay Wilder if I lose. If I win, of course, I will go on to bigger and better things.
Many times I was crucified. I was drugged. My name was drugged in the dirt for how savage my mind was, what I did to people, what I said to people. But people, you know, they like I said, drugged my name in the dirt, so I found peace.
It's a loss, unfortunately, and it's the end of a prolific journey for the Bronze Bomber. And it's gotten so extreme that fans and boxing professionals are urging the 38-year-old to retire.
And deserves a lot of credit for that win. And then there was Deontay that just wasn't at the races. Yeah. So it sort of kind of went from bad to worse. But we love the night, we love the concept. We'll be running it back real soon. And yeah, we go again.
Speaking in an interview after the fight, Matchroom Boxing chairman Eddie Hearn said, "There was Deontay that just wasn't at the races. He kind of went from bad to worse. It's just not the same." In all honesty, you know, I just feel that his belief isn't there anymore, and you've got to ask why. Is it just time? Is it something else that's not right? But you know, he's not letting his hands go, and that's what made him one of the most feared fighters in the world.
In all honesty, you know, just feel that his belief's not there anymore, and you know, you've got to ask yourself why. Is it just time? Is it something else that's not right? But you know, he's not letting his hands go, and that's what.
He also added, so it's all down to sort of personal opinion of what's next for him. That's up to him, just based on what you saw though. I mean, he's not the fighter that he was at the moment, but he'll come back. But you know it's deep in the road.
One of the most feared fighters in the world. So, yeah, that's, you know, it's all down to sort of personal opinion of what's next for him. That's up to him.
Just based on what you saw though, you think it's time?
I mean, look, he's not.
Immediately after the fight, he was frustrated. He thought he shouldn't have been stopped, but we love the night. We love the concept. We'll be running it back real soon.
I think it's time.
I mean, look, he's not the fighter that he was at the moment.
Yeah.
But people come back. But, you know, it's deep in the road.
The fans were surely not left out as they took to their social media accounts to share their thoughts on Wilder's retirement. As a fight fan, I will cherish the exciting memories Deontay Wilder delivered in his fights, one boxing fan said on X after the loss. But in this brutal business, the ring renders many fighters unrecognizable of their former self. And that's what we see with Wilder. Time to retire a wealthy man. Many shared that sentiment, including SI's Chris Mannix, who chose to frame the defeat in a more positive light. Others bemoaned over the fact that a potential Wilder versus Joshua match might never happen.
I've had a successful career, and this is a do or die moment for me. And I don't think the heavyweight division is exciting without Deontay Wilder in it. But come Saturday night, we will see, you know. Will I prevail? Will I succeed?
Alas, with retirement a distinct possibility, Wilder versus Joshua may go down as one of the most frustrating what-if matches in boxing history. There were still plenty of big fights out there for Wilder if he was victorious at Riyadh's Kingdom Arena. Sadly, he wasn't. A fight with Anthony Joshua was being lined up for this year. However, Wilder's defeat to Parker in December proved to be a stumbling block, and former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou fought AJ instead. There was also a crossroads clash with fellow countryman Jared Anderson being lined up by Saudi boxing chief Turki Al-Sheikh for August 3rd in Los Angeles. The card headlined by Terence Crawford versus Israel Madrimov. Last month, Al-Sheikh took to social media and declared that Wilder will box Anderson if he's ready by then to fight. Asked which fights he wants to be involved in before he hangs up his gloves, Wilder added, "I want to have fights that I haven't fought before." Of course, I'm in this business to gain titles. I want to be a unified champion, that's what I want the most. But I'd love to fight the guys I haven't fought before to say I fought everyone. However, while the former world champion had hinted at his retirement during his pre-fight conferences, he went ahead to give the rest of his speeches like they were farewell speeches. Although he remained undaunted by the realization, former World Boxing Council heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder couldn't help but share his most recent observation before entering Saturday's 5 versus 5 fight that eventually saw him lose as the captain and bag the 4th defeat of his career. "Nobody respects a guy that is at peace," Wilder told DAZN cameras this week during a stay-down interview. At peace is where the 38-year-old found himself in December when he looked to snap a long run of inactivity that saw him box just one round professionally in a 2-year span. Fresh off of an ayahuasca spiritual retreat that gave the slugger newfound peace, it was the all-around flat performance that followed in a lifeless decision loss to rejuvenated former champion Joseph Parker that suddenly had everyone clamoring for the bronze bomber of old. Only the strong survive in this business, and if you don't have that killer instinct and mentality, you're not going to last long in it, Wilder said. They don't want the peaceful Wilder. No one wants the peaceful Wilder. I got criticized so much previously for being the wild man Wilder, so why do I need to express myself a certain way when I'm not being appreciated? When I bring peace, they say, we don't want him anymore. So what the hell do they want?
You know, the only time war and peace mix is when the war is over and victory has been claimed. You know, many times I was crucified. I was drugged. My name was drugged.
Wilder, who made 10 defenses of his World Boxing Council title from 2015 to 2019, suddenly had just about everyone speculating that his 16-year pro career was about to be over. Even Turki Alalshik, the chairman of the General Entertainment Authority in Saudi Arabia, who has spearheaded his nation's deep financial investment into the sport, sat Wilder down and requested that the aggressive version of old make an immediate return. Sadly for Wilder's bank account, he was unable to comply. The native of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, entered Saturday's bout against former interim title holder Zhang Big Bang Zhang at a bit of a crossroads moment inside Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, headlining a 5 versus 5 inches PPV card matching top stars from rival promoters Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Sport, and Frank Warren Queensberry Promotions. And really, should Wilder have won, or at least look great in losing, per Alashik, against the 41-year-old Zhang, who lost his own decision and World Boxing Organization interim title in March to Parker, despite dropping him twice. An equally difficult fight would have been made for him in AUG 3 in Los Angeles, when Alashik made his U.S. debut as a de facto promoter in Los Angeles and matched Wilder against unbeaten American prospect Jared Big Baby Anderson. If that isn't enough, a victory over both would then have lifted Wilder to the one fight fans have clamored for but never received over the past decade. A showdown against two-time former unified champion Anthony Joshua. Talk about pressure and motivation. A bad loss, as it eventually happened this weekend, has completely ended Wilder's distinguished career, while a win would have set him further down the line on a path towards some of the biggest one-night paydays of his career, given Saudi Arabia's overwhelming investment in the heavyweight division. We looked at all aspects of that situation after the loss, and it was a lesson for me, Wilder said. I didn't overlook Parker. I never look past an opponent, but I do look through them at what is next. That loss is a lesson for me, but it became a blessing when I got home. I became a gym rat all over again, like it became a job for me. I knew immediately that we were going to fight again. I didn't know where. Thank God I'm back again in the kingdom so I can get that one back. It's a different opponent, but I want to show the people that I can deliver the man that they were expecting. The man they were expecting is one of the most devastating and feared punchers in the history of the sport. But not only were Wilder's legs noticeably skinny and lacking muscle against Parker, he also seemed to lack the killer instinct that has made him so dynamic, despite how often critics took umbrage with Wilder's controversial stance regarding his want to kill another man inside the ring with a punch. Once his ability to deliver said punches seemed to be gone against Parker, along with his care level while facing defeat, the urgent call was made by seemingly everyone to resurrect the warrior of old. And as a prizefighter first, Wilder answered the call. I just have to go in there and be me. I'm going to do what I know to do, Wilder said. I trained hard for this. Last time I knew what to do, but I couldn't pull the trigger. I saw some things, but the body didn't react. It's going to be a different fight this time around, and if it's not a different fight, retirement is highly, highly considered. Wilder didn't hesitate to call the Zhang fight a must-win, and said he embraced the pressure that comes with that, and nothing short of a tense shootout was expected between the aging sluggers given the size and power that the 6'6" southpaw Zhang brings to the table. Zhang was long considered merely a heavyweight project until a late career switch to trainer Sean George helped the native of China find another level to his game. Although Zhang suffered his first pro defeat in a close loss to Filip Hrgovic in 2022, he instantly rebounded with a pair of upset knockouts against unbeaten Joe Joyce to announce himself as a legit contender. I like his style. Zhang is a good puncher, Wilder said. I like everything about him, which is why I smile when I hear that name, Big Bang Zhang. I love that name, but when we get in the ring, I don't like anything about him. That's how my switch is gonna change. I can't wait for the fight. I love to be in a good action fight. It's like a good action movie. I love the thrill and suspense of it. Going into the fight, Deontay Wilder remained a slight betting underdog against Zhang due to his inactivity and recent poor showing. But even though Zhang was a proven slicker boxer with legit knockout power in his left hand, he has had a history of fading late toward the championship rounds, where Wilder historically has carried his power. And in order for the Wilder of old to show up in place of the old Wilder who fought on Saudi Arabian soil in December, the threat of his dominant right hand was going to need to make its presence known early and often. However, what we saw was the exact opposite of that. If I land this against the flesh of any face, whether it's a human or it's an animal or an extraterrestrial, something is going to happen, Wilder said. I have been blessed with the gift of power, and God has blessed me tremendously. I'm not going to modify who I am anymore to please others, but only to please myself because God blessed me with an ability and talent to be different and unique. Last night's fight between Zhang and Deontay Wilder wasn't a thriller, but the final moment was memorable. Zhang finished Wilder with a pair of big right hands in the 5th round to bounce back from a recent loss to Joseph Parker and keep himself in the conversation for a future heavyweight title shot. Wilder seemed reluctant to let his hands go for the 2nd consecutive fight, having also lost to Parker in his most recent outing. The power that had made Wilder one of the most feared punchers in boxing history never factored into the fight, with Zhang forcing Wilder to fight off his back foot for nearly the entire fight. Zhang was also fairly passive, not taking advantage of Wilder's passivity outside of brief bursts. That changed in an instant when Zhang landed a sweeping right hook that seemed to separate Wilder from his senses. Wilder spun and took a few steps away from Zhang when a second right hand connected, sending Wilder to the canvas.
Okay.
I'll translate.
Okay, I will translate in Chinese. 磊哥，今天有数百名来自中国的粉丝。
Wilder beat the count, rising at 9, but as he was instructed to walk to the referee, he stumbled, causing the referee to call a halt to the bout at the 151 mark of round 5. I successfully took his right hand away, Zhang said of his success via an interpreter. I blocked a few punches, but hell yeah, he punches hard. I give a lot of respect to him. He's a hard puncher. Zhang said his plan is to continue on to a world championship. When I lost to Parker, he was the better man that night, Zhang said afterward. But I learned a lot. After I knocked out Joe Joyce, I got overconfident, but I learned you have to stay focused.
首先呢，感谢国内的拳迷、中国的拳迷以及抖音，因为这场比赛在中国是抖音独家直播。感谢他们守在电视机旁。
The title picture is a bit muddled right now, just weeks after Alexander Usyk defeated Tyson Fury to unify all 4 world titles. The International Boxing Federation has said they were going to strip the winner of Fury versus Usyk if they went ahead with their contractually obligated rematch, rather than upholding their duty to face mandatory challenger Filip Hrgović. Usyk's team filed for an exception from the International Boxing Federation, which the sanctioning body has yet to rule on. If the title stays on Usyk, his December clash with Usyk keeps those titles tied up for a while. The winner will then have to defend against Daniel Dubois, who became interim International Boxing Federation champion on the undercard when he defeated Hrgović. If the International Boxing Federation strips Usyk, Dubois will be elevated to world champion, and the plan seems to be for Dubois to face Anthony Joshua either way, leaving Zhang's future somewhat uncertain despite his highest profile win. Parker, who holds wins over both Zhang and Wilder, also belongs ahead of Zhang in the line of potential challengers for future world title fights, meaning a rematch between the two may actually be Zhang's most logical next step. As for Wilder, the former World Boxing Council champion appears to have reached the end of the road as a serious contender and has now twice fought like a man who has reached the end of his time as a professional fighter. The punch output isn't there, and Wilder is visibly struggling to throw the power shots that led him to the top of the game and kept him world champion for 5 years. After admitting he struggled to pull the trigger against Parker, Wilder promised that he'd regain the fire that made him so dangerous, but that was not on display against Zhang. For years, the idea of Wilder versus Joshua fascinated boxing fans. It now seems like a fight that would be a major step down for Joshua, and it's hard to see why there would be demand to see Wilder in a fight against a big, strong, accurate heavyweight like Joshua, who would be expected to run away with the fight. Wilder's loss also completed a somewhat embarrassing night for Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing. The night's card was framed around a 5 versus 5 showdown between Matchroom and Queensberry Boxing. Wilder's loss completed a clean sweep for Queensberry, with 2 of those wins coming by knockout, which gave bonus points, including team captain Hamza Shiraz stopping Austin Williams, which awarded twice as many points. The final point tally in Queensberry versus Matchroom was 10-0 in Queensberry's favor, and that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get alerted when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace.